everybody to Wednesday Night Yin. All right, we're going to start a nice comfortable position. If you have a bolster, blankets, blocks, we're going to use those things tonight. If you're watching at home and you don't have them, don't get too stressed out about it. I'll give you options, right? But what we're going to do here, you're going to lay on your back. Just bring the bolster underneath your knees. Right? And then you can put a blanket under your head, or you don't have to. I'm totally not with the picture. It's okay. So you're just here, right? Now, you put a blanket under your head. You don't have to. You don't have a bolster. It's fine. Your feet on the ground. Or you can just lay flat, right? Really your choice at the beginning. I just want you to be comfortable, right? And settle in. Take your first few moments, allow yourself to arrive. When you use this, put your blanket on the top of it, the bolster, or your blanket on it. Oh, use it. Yeah, or your blanket, or one of those blankets, something that we can wash afterwards. Yeah. Right. So like I said, you're just taking the first few moments, getting that focus to your breath. That breath take over. You don't have to control your breath here. It's yin tonight, and it's actually going to be a pretty relaxing, more restorative like yin. Right? Even though you're not controlling your breath, you want to get that focus to your breath. Let that breath take over, let it push all your other distractions out. So that you're fully focused on your mat, your practice. You're fully present to your mat, your practice. All right, let's take another moment or so here. We'll grab another bolster. Just gonna let yourself feel heavy, right? Let everything sink into the floor, into the bolster, whatever you've got. So to get that relaxation response going in your body. start moving here, right? You're gonna take that bolster, slide it out from under you, put the bolster off to the side right now. You can use it right at the moment. Right? But I want you to keep laying down on your back. Take your feet out wide, the edges of your mat. Take your arms out to a T. Right? Let yourself do a couple windshield wipers here first. Drop your knees to the right, palm to center, drop them to the left. And just go back and forth a couple times. And then just let your knees fall all the way over to the right, at least as much as they do. Let that left hip even pull up off the ground. See if you can just keep your arms out to this T, especially that left arm. You just want to keep reaching towards the left fingertips, reaching towards the left side of the room. And look over your left shoulder. Let that chest start to open a little bit. I'm not going to stay here a super long time, but 4 more breaths. And when you're ready, pull your knees back to center. Now let your knees go over to the left. Your chin, your gaze over to the right. Just keep looking over your right shoulder. I'm going to turn around and look back forward. Just not tucking away from the camera. Everything that we're going to do tonight, focus on the back, right? Opening up the back. Back does a lot of work for us. Sometimes it does work we don't even realize it's doing. Okay, so we're going to try to strengthen it and relax it a little bit tonight. Right now we're twisting, right? Just get that spine nice and supple and moving. So that we don't feel constricted when we start to move through our back. Take 3 more breaths here. When you're ready, pull your knees up to center. All right, and now just hug your knees into your chest. We're gonna rock back and forth from side to side a little bit. Like we were in Happy Baby, except we've got those knees hooked all the way in here. And then when we're ready, we're gonna come up to seated. So you can take your hands to the crease of your knees, rock yourself up. You can let your knees drop to one side or the other and push yourself up. Now I want you to take your bolster again, right? I'm gonna bring it here. Now here in the studio, right, we've got these blankets on top of them just so that we can take the blanket off later and wash it, right? And everything's nice and sanitary. But what you're gonna do, you're gonna sit on the bolster. So you're bringing the bolster across your mat. You're gonna sit facing the front of the room. Bring yourself as much as you can. I've got this a little too far forward. So that your glutes are on the very edge of your mat, right? So it's almost like you're falling forward a little bit. Right, so right now, I'm pressing back with my feet. That's what's keeping me from sliding all the way off. What I'm gonna do here, right, is take the soles of my feet and bring them together. So you're here in this bound ankle. Now you wanna push your feet a little bit further away than you would in a normal bound ankle, right? Enough that you feel like your legs are relaxed and they're not gonna start shaking because you're holding them up, right? Even if that means they come way forward, that's okay. If you need another blanket to put in front of you, you can do that. And then we're just gonna stay right here. But we're gonna sit up nice and tall, right? So we're not folding forward like we usually do in bound ankle. I just want you to sit nice and tall like there's a string on top of your head, pulling you up towards the ceiling. As we sit here for a couple minutes, right? Like any yin pose, it's really gonna start to strengthen the back, right? Thinking about that, thinking about lengthening your spine so that as we come here, you don't start to sag, right? Keep your head over your shoulders. Keep the crown of your head reaching towards the ceiling. Keep your spine nice and long. Hands can rest on your knees. They can rest on the bolster or on the ground. Right? If you need to, you can take some blocks, put them underneath your knees if you need to support there. Again, focus on your spine, on lengthening it, on strengthening it, keeping that back nice and strong. bolster down. The opposite answer is you're not using one, right? You're just sitting flat and sitting up tall. A little easier to get up tall when you're sitting flat and not using the bolster. A little bit harder to get your legs to relax. So adjust it if you need to, whether you're sitting on the floor or you're sitting on your bolster. You get somewhere where you can hang out for another minute or so. A few more breaths here. 4 more. And when you're ready, now you're going to bring your knees together. Put your feet flat on the ground. You can scoot a little bit back on your bolster here if you're sitting on a bolster, right, just so that you're sitting up nice and tall. But move your feet out wide, right, so that they're kind of lined up with the edges of your bolster. Take your hands back behind you so you're leaning back here, right? This is our little counter pose. We're going to do that windshield wiper motion with our legs again. It's not going to be as intense as when we are laying down, right? Just drop them over the right, bring them up, drop them left. Just go back and forth here a couple times. Keeping your booty on the bolster. Keeping your hands back behind you to support you. If you weren't using the bolster, you're just doing the same thing, right, with your feet wide, with your booty on the ground. All right, eventually, we're going to come to a stop here. Now, we're going to come off the bolster, right, and the bolster is just going to slide around in front of you. You're going to take your legs out long, right? So you're here, and you're going to widen them just slightly. So you're going to bring that bolster in between your legs, right? So you're here. So it doesn't have to come all the way up, right? You don't have to take it super wide so you can pull it all the way in. The bolster's going to be around your knees or your shins, and that's all good, right? But you want to be somewhere where your hands are naturally reaching the bolster. And then from there, you're just going to walk it forward, right? Keeping your back nice and flat. Now you're trying to get somewhere where at least you can relax your elbows on the bolster, right? Support that. You just look kind of like this. If you can't get that far, maybe you need a block. Maybe you need to take your legs a little wider and pull the bolster further in, right? But I want those elbow joints supported. I want you to keep your back nice and flat. It's all right if your chin kind of tucks a little bit, your head hangs. I'll grab my block so I can show you guys some options here. All right, if you have a block, you can use it, right? Bump it up a little bit more if you're not quite getting down. Or maybe you use it and you let your head come there. If that feels okay, support your head. Find what's the most comfortable to you. I'm gonna put that bolster way in. Now, if you don't have a bolster or a block, it's okay, right? You're just here. You're doing your regular seated forward fold, reaching towards your toes. You might not reach your toes. Hands can be on your ankles or your shins or your knees, or they can just be next to you, right? But keep that back flat. Keep everything relaxed. All right, so those are all your options here. The more you're comfortable, you're going to be able to hang. for a few moments. We're going to take another minute or so here. If you're somewhere where you're comfortable. Eventually, you're going to let yourself come back up here, nice and slow. And again, we're going to move that bolster out of the way, right? Do our counter pose. When we do a counter pose, it's just a little pose we do for a couple breaths after each full yin pose, right? To kind of reset our body. So here what you're going to do, you're going to bend into your knees and put them on the ground. I'm going to flip around here so you guys can see it a little bit better. Right, so we're here. Now, you're going to take your hands back behind you. If you can, right, you're going to push into your palms, push into your feet, and lift your hips up off the mat, let your chin fall back, a little reverse table. If that feels like too much for you, right, then you can just pull your shoulder blades together, push your chest forward and look up like this. Right, come back down, tuck your chin, look towards your belly, and then just do that twice more, right? So you're coming up, opening the chest, lifting to floating table if you want, keep those hips down if you don't. Come back down, tuck your chin, look at your belly. Do it one more time. Lift the floating table. Or sorry, not floating table, it's a reverse table. And then we're going to draw it back down, tuck your chin to your chest, but you do too much Pilates lately. And then we're going to come back up. All right, now, as we come here, what we're going to do, we're going to come into a Sphinx pose. Now, you can use the bolster for this. I recommend it if you have one, right? So you're just going to take the bolster. It's going to come in front of you. So I'm going to show you from the front, then I'll show you from the side. I'm just going to put my elbows on the bolster, coming all the way down to my belly. So your chest is kind of just behind the bolster. You can let your hands be on the bolster. Take your forehead to your palms, right? Or you can let your head turn to one side or the other. Whatever's comfortable. Again, you want to think about your elbow joint, your shoulder joint, all being supported. Right, from the side, it looks like this. Here, hands on the bolster. So you're just right here. Now, if you don't have a bolster, right, then you're going to come into regular Sphinx. Bend your elbows, prop yourself up in your elbows, and you're just like this. All right, so whether you're using the bolster or you're in regular Sphinx, we're going to hold here for a couple minutes, and we're going to add on a little bit to it before we do our counter pose. about 4 or 5 more breaths just here, just like this. And from there, right, you're just going to bend into your knees, right? Start to bring your heels toward your glutes. Okay, so you can do this, whether you're in Sphinx or with the bolster, or you're just down on your back. Let's hold here for a minute. Okay, if it doesn't feel good, maybe try doing 1 foot at a time. About 4 more breaths here. And then let your legs float all the way back down. Now from here, take your arms out. Take them off the bolsters. Now that you're here with your hands out on each side of the bolster, right, with your palms flat, your elbows are up to the sky, and then push into your palms. Push your arms straight, or as straight as you can, right? So now you're in kind of like a wide seal. Not going to hold this a super long time. Hold it for 4 breaths. If it feels like it's way too much on your back, right, then just go back into your Sphinx for a few more breaths. Right, we're going to take 3 more breaths here. And then from there, start to bend your elbows. Let yourself come down so you can kind of rest your forehead on the bolster. Then bring your hands in underneath your chest so you can really push yourself up. Now lift your hips up off the mat, or off to the back. That's what I want to say, right? From here, we're going to come into a child's pose. Now we're going to use the bolster, right? This is the counter pose for that Sphinx. We stand it a little bit longer. So you're going to try to bring your big toes to touch and take your knees out as wide as you can, right? So you're just like this right now. Then you're going to pull that bolster in the middle, and then you're going to lay down over it, right? If your hips lift up, that's okay. Maybe you have to push the bolster further forward or bring it further in. Right? Adjust it for you. Let your head relax down. Just take your head to one side or the other. I'm going to tell you when to switch it. If you need to take a block or something, get yourself a little higher, you can. Take your head, turn it the opposite direction. So whichever way you were looking, look the other way, right? Stay here in this child's pose. A few more breaths. toward the bolster. Push yourself all the way up to a kneeling position here. Bring your knees together. Now this next one, right, we're not going to use the bolster, but you do want to use the blanket, right? So we're going to do half frog, but we're going to do it with the blanket. So you're going to take the blanket, put the blanket off to the right edge of your mat. Straight ahead. Take your bolster, put it off to the side, and you can use the blanket that was on top of your bolster, or you can use a different one, right? But what we're going to do here, right, you're going to lie right next to your blanket, right? So as you lie down, so my blanket is right to my right side. I'm going to go a little bit further down. So I want my arms to be away from the blanket, but I'm going to come to cactus arms, right? So I've got my palms on the ground, my elbows pointed out to the sides, and then lay down. Now this first time I'm going to look to the right. And what you're going to do here, right? You're going to pick up your right foot. You're going to put your right knee on that blanket, right? And then just slide the blanket up towards your right elbow, right? So it looks like this. Guys from the side. Right, I was on the side, now I'm here. Right, I started out here. Got my arms in cactus arms, and I just bend into that right knee, put it on the blanket, and then I slide that blanket up. Right, mine kind of wrinkled underneath my right elbow. It's okay, right? You're looking towards your bent knee in this half frog. That should feel good. You're letting the side of your foot just rest on the mat. Further up you pull that knee towards your shoulder, the more sensation you're going to feel. If you really feel like you need more sensation, try turning your head away from your bent knee, right? Towards your opposite direction. Towards the opposite direction, which in this case would be the left. Best day. In your half frog. A few more breaths here. Four breaths here. When you're ready, you're just going to slide that right leg back, down, right? Maybe you're going to push yourself up a little bit because we need to move that blanket over. So push yourself up kind of into a tabletop, right? So you can just slide that blanket over to your left side, right? Once you've got that blanket there, come back down to your belly. You're in those cactus arms, right? So the blanket's back behind your left elbow. You're going to look to the left here, and then you're going to pick up your left knee, put it on the blanket, and just slide that blanket forward, trying to bring your left knee towards your left elbow. Your head's going over towards your left elbow and your left knee. If you really need more intensity, take it the other way. Take it towards your right elbow and your right knee. 3 more breaths here. And we're slowly going to make our way out of this pose. Slide that left knee back down. Bring your hands by your chest. Push yourself up here into a tabletop. All right, now as we come to tabletop, now we're going to use the bolster again. Bring it in. Put your blanket over it. Now, what we're going to do here, I'm going to try to do this sideways. All right, so I'm going to sit in front of the bolster, right? And your legs are going to go out long. So you want that bolster right at your low back. So here's the bolster here. I'm going to sit, bolster at my low back, and my legs in front of me, right? Now, from here, I'm going to try to do the right side first. I'm going to give you 2 options, right? So this is the more complicated one, right? It's basically half hero. You're going to lean over to the right, or to the left a little bit, so you can bend into your right knee. Bring the right glute just outside your right hip, right? So like this with your legs. Really get that bolster in against you, and then from there, lay back over your bolster. Right, now, it's going to feel really amazing if your body can get there. You can prop the bolster up with a block if you need to. Right, so this, make it a little bit higher. So do that right, so that as I come around, and lay back, I don't have to go as far back, right? Or if you feel good laying all the way down, do that. If this does not feel good on your leg, and you can't get that heel back there, your knees popping way up or going way off to the side, right? Then what you're going to do instead, you're going to bring your foot to the ground on the inside of your left thigh, and then let that right leg fall open, like a little half butterfly, maybe here instead, right? Now, if you're here, right, you can always take a block and let it come underneath your knee, maybe here. If you don't have a bolster, right, then you're just lying back. You've got no bolster, right, you're here, lean to the left, pull that knee back, come back. Now maybe if you don't have a bolster, you can't lay all the way down. Some of you can, not me, right? But if I didn't have a bolster, I'd just be here on my forearms. You could just be here on your palms. And again, if this isn't doing it for you, even all the way up on your palms, then you just bring it around into your butterfly here. Maybe you support it with the block, and you lean back. Maybe here you can lay all the way down. If you're just on your forearms, maybe you stay up on your palms. So all sorts of different variations on this pose, right? But you find the one that feels right for you. We've done this before, right? In vinyasa, we don't usually hold it this long, right? But that's one of the keys here, trying to hold the pose a little longer. You know you're going to stay here for another minute or so. If you're already not loving it in half butterfly, and you're thinking that you can't stay here for another minute, that's your signal that you should probably be doing half, if you're in the half hero and you know you can't stay, right? If you're here and I said another minute, and that automatically made you anxious, right? You should probably just be doing the half butterfly instead, and it's all good, right? No prizes given out tonight for who felt the most, who did the most. You give yourself the prize. The prize is your body relaxing. from here. We're slowly going to come out. Now you might, right, to get up out of this, need to roll over to the left first, right? And that's okay. So if you can bring your hands underneath you and push yourself up without rolling to the left first, do that. Once you're sitting all the way up, you're definitely going to lean way over to the left, especially if you're in this half hero. So you can kick that right leg out. Over here. Now counter here before we go on to the next pose, right? Just bend into that right knee, right? And then hug it all the way in to your chest. My left leg's still out long, and you can't see it very well on the camera, but that's what's going on here, right? Tuck your chin to your chest. Drive your forehead toward your right knee. Just hold here 2 or 3 breaths. And we're going to do that same thing on the other side. So release your right leg. Your right leg is going to go along. I'm just going to flip around here so you guys can still see me. Guys, stay where you are. So put the bolster here. Legs are long this time. I'm going to lean to the right so that I can bring my left ankle by my left hip. My right leg is that long. Now, again, if this is not comfortable to you, you don't have to do this, right? But find it. Start to lean back. See how it feels. If you can come all the way back, then you're going to hang out right here. This seems like somewhere you can hang out for 3 minutes. Great. If it doesn't, right, here's your options. You come into the half butterfly. Come back if you need to. Prop the bolster up, make it higher. Maybe it makes it better for you. Can't even do it without moving my leg. Again, if you don't have a bolster, right, and it's not comfortable to you flat on your back, then you're not staying flat on your back, right? This could be you. This could be you. Right? If you can get flat to your back without a bolster, go for it. You're probably feeling even more intensity. Your key here when we're doing these half heroes, right? You don't want to let that left knee, the one that's bent, lift too far or up or too far out to the side. So if it lifts a little bit up and it's still comfortable to you, that's okay, right? But if it's going way up here and way out there, right, this is not comfortable. I can feel it in my knee. I'm starting to feel it in my ankle, right? If that's happening to you, then just take it to the half butterfly. Or bring it up, right? Bring it up to your palms, prop up your bolster. Do something to make it comfortable, right? This is yin. It's not meant to be torture. There's meant to be some sensation going on. But not so much sensation that you can't comfortably hang out in these poses. 4 minutes here. Be comfortable. Be somewhere you can be comfortable and be still. 4 or 5 more breaths here. Ready? Come up here, right? Maybe you need to lean to the right to push yourself up. Moving your leg. Once you're all the way up, right? Everybody's to lean to the right so you can kick that left leg out and sit up tall. Once you're sitting up, right, then you're going to bend back into that left knee. Just plant that left foot on the floor. Hug around your left knee. Tuck your chin to your chest, right, your forehead to your knees. Just take a couple breaths right there. Let your legs go out long. Now, we're going to lay down on our back again. We're going to use the bolster for this, right? So you're going to have your bolster over to your right side, but have it like out long, right? So you guys can see mine's a long way here. And I'm going to bring it right by my right hip. A second here. I'm going to put my water bottle over, so I'm going to move it over there. All right. So you're going to lay all the way down on your back. And then once you're down on your back, you're going to hug your knees into your chest. Right? Now, I'm going to let my arms go out long, like wings in a T position. You're going to come into that basic supine twist, which means you're going to drop both knees to the right, but they're going to land on that bolster, right? So then maybe once you're there, you can stay right here. Maybe you're going to push the bolster further away, maybe you want to bring it closer in, right? Now, if it feels all right, then you can extend your legs along that bolster. If you want to keep your knees bent, keep your knees bent, right? You can move the bolster a little bit to get it to support a different part of your leg. It's all good. I want you to be comfortable here. If you hate the bolster and you're like, I would like to do just a regular supine twist. If you're watching at home and you don't have a bolster, right? That's what you're doing. Just regular supine twist. You want to keep that left shoulder anchored. Right, but whatever you want to do with your legs other than that. Now, as we come into this twist, right? I came out of it so that I could look up and talk. Right, you're here in the twist. Knees going over to the right. Gaze going to the left. And we're going to hang out here a little longer than we usually do. Right, we got a minute or so on each side. So that's why you have the bolster to support you. And you don't necessarily need that. But sometimes it gives you that little safety net, right? That idea that, yeah, it's going to be okay if I try some different things with my legs here. I want you to feel that twist in your spine. It's part of our back. Right? Opening up that back, which we've been doing all night long. On our backs, our whole spine to be able to twist. Right? That's a natural movement of your spine and your back, is the twist. Sometimes we don't do enough of them, especially outside of yoga. Right? Sometimes our bodies forget how. That's not going to happen to you. Feel comfortable in the twist. All right, so just take about 5 more breaths here. Ready, pull your knees up, just hug them back into your chest, right? Now we got to move the bolster, right? So we're going to do this going the other way. So I'm going to take the bolster, bring it to the other side. Now you have kind of a better idea maybe of where you want it to be, right? Once you've got it there, we'll lay back down, hug the knees in at first, right? And then take your arms out to the T. Then let your knees fall over to the left. And again, adjust that bolster. Want it to be. Maybe you stay right here, maybe you lose the bolster, maybe you extend your legs all the way along the bolster. your right shoulder, keeping that right shoulder anchored. Three more breaths here. When ready, pull those knees back up to center. Hug them into your chest. Now we're going to set up for our last pose here, our Shavasana. Right, so maybe your bolster wants to come back under your knees. Like we did at the beginning. Maybe you want to lie back over your bolster, right, like we did in that half hero, except this time just keep your legs extended. Right, or you can butterfly them again. You can lose the bolster and do anything that's flat on your back. You can roll all the way to your side. You can sit up. Find a comfortable place to be. If you're here in the studio, you've got a towel. I'll come around, give it a little spray for you. Right? If you're at home, maybe you've got a towel or something you can put over your eyes. Just close your eyes. Key to Shavasana is to withdraw a little bit from your senses. Not force yourself to accept every piece of sensory input that comes at them. That's how we close our eyes, we make ourselves comfortable, right? Temperature neutral, music low, lights low. So you don't feel like there's a lot of sensory input coming at you. But you do want to get to a place where even if there was, right, even if all the lights were brightly on, even if I turn the music way up, even if 50 people walked into this room, you could still be still and quiet. Because you've trained your mind and your body to know that it doesn't matter what sensory input is coming at it right now. You're in that relaxation state. You're letting that quiet come to your mind. So get yourself to that place. Okay? Get yourself to that quiet in the mind. fingers, your toes. Feeling that increased sensation that comes with a quiet mind. If you want to here, take your arms overhead. Do a nice full, deep body stretch. And from there, just roll over onto your right side in a fetal position. Take a couple breaths right there just to reacclimate to our space. Let the sights and the sounds of the room come back to you. As long as you need right here. When you're ready, only when you're ready, push yourself up to seated. And we will close here. If you want to sit up on your bolster like I am, you can, right? If you want to just sit in a regular easy sit, do that. Right? But sit up nice and tall either way. Your back, your spine should feel good, ready to go. We're going to close just with our 2 Bhamari breaths and then an Om. The Bhamari breath, we inhale, as we exhale, make that little humming sound at the back of the throat. The Om is the universal syllable, uses all parts of the throat. You can join me in the breath, so you can just listen. Let's close our eyes here. We'll inhale together. Inhaling again. And then we'll inhale one final time, an Om. Let your eyes drift open. Bring your hands to heart center. Thank you, all of you, for sharing your energy, your practice with me this evening. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. All right. I will see you guys all on Saturday for some slow flow. Angie's here tomorrow morning at 9 if you need some more yin, I think. So I'll see you guys on Saturday. Have a great rest of your week.